There is an exponential growth in the number of people who own and play video games. Video games that contain violence are the most popular and best selling video games because of the creative ability of combat skills and weaponry. As more underage individuals are exposed to violent video games, concerns have risen over how the exposure to violence in video games influence their behavior. Some argue that violence in games are directly responsible for the rise in violence by young people. On the other hand, most argue that video games do not directly result in any violent behavior because video games are purely entertainment and their portrayal to violence is less realistic compared to other medias that are exhibiting violence. As a gamer, I play plenty of video games, and I can assure you, it's never crossed my mind to hurt others. I will present how although video games may contain violence, they are not directly responsible for violent behavior. The problem is society perceives teenagers as easily being influenced to violent behavior from video games containing violence. When people think of violent video games, the first thing that comes to their mind is about war and zombies. They believe that these video games are only about killing other people to achieve the next level. But it's not true. On the contrary, these video games are about skill in combat and building survival skills to help innocent and defenseless victims on any other storyline. In order to carry out these missions, weapons are often used to get the best level performance in dangerous situations. However, these weapons are only used for self-defense and rescuing civilians against enemy. Moreover, teenagers yelling while playing may be perceived as a violent behavior. However, I mean, however, their yelling is an expression of passion for the game and a way of distressing. Research has actually shown that playing video games is a healthy way to distress because it takes your mind off your surroundings and from taking your anger on others. Now that I've talked about how people think violent video games make people more violent, let me tell you how violent games are really beneficial. Parents and children can have different ideas when it comes to violent video games. For instance, adults see it as a terrible influence to teenagers because from their perspective they see blood and screaming. But what they don't see is the purpose of why it's happening and why they're doing it. For as a teenager, the real thing is how you feel for boys, how it feels. For boys, it takes out many stress out of us, from girlfriends, from parents, from fights. There's many positive things about violent video games, such as reducing feelings of hostility, decreasing cognitive aggression, and an increase of cooperative behaviors. It's also beneficial for parents in a way. It helps them. When playing video games, it keeps them away from doing nonsense stuff, making parents angry, like messing around with your brothers, hitting them, getting fights with them, stuff like that. Video games are an ever-present youth experience, and they can offer wide ranges of experience to the individuals, as has been demonstrated by the arguments presented in this paper. Video games can be used to promote certain notions. Thank you for listening. If you ever want to get hyped up and feel excited, let's hop on a violent video game.